What's going on, my YouTube people? How's everyone doing? I hope everybody's doing great as usual. Thank you guys for all your support. It means the world to me. You guys are the best. I appreciate it all. I want to get right into this video, guys. I want to really just continue my conversation from my last video. We have the LG G4 to the left. We have the Samsung S90D to the right. As you guys know, I primarily concentrate my comparisons with TVs, mainly through gaming. I do movies, HDR movies a lot too. I'm an HDR guy, so I really uh, usually tend to gear towards HDR movies when I do comparisons. I do a little bit of SDR for both movies and gaming, but that is my primary use case when it comes to what I do at home. And I know that there's a lot of people out there wondering, what am I missing if I get the S90D over the G4? I have to be missing something because of the substantial price difference and how much more the G4 is over the S90D. And these are some of the things that I just like to talk about because there's a lot of you out there who, yeah, you may have the money to purchase a premium TV and spend, $4,900, whatever the case may be. But you hear so many good things about the S90D. And is it really worth it? Are you actually missing out on anything? And long story short, yes, there are things that you are missing when you get the S90D. That's obviously why they make the S90D versus their own flagship of the S95D. It's a tier lower. So a lot of people will say, don't even worry about what you're missing. Just get the S90D. It has all the value in the world. It's a fantastic TV, yada yada. And I get it, guys, but there are certain things to me that just, you know, it's clear as to why you spend the extra money, and whether it's worth it to you. That's on you guys. For me, I do notice things that I miss. Like, for example, I kind of wish I've actually purchased the S95D because there are just more times than not where I'm not getting that wow factor in the S90D when it comes to, um, really bright highlights, overall picture brightness, things like that. Yes, the colors are fantastic. Yes, you get a really good 3D perception. You get it all, and I think that most people won't even see the difference if, let's say, you're going from um, a C2 to the S90D or C3, whatever the case is, or any older TV, even an older OLED TV. It will be an upgrade to you getting the S90D. You will see a big difference in an upgrade. It's when, let's say, a person owns the A95L, like myself, the G4, has had, all the other premium TVs that you do spend that extra money on, is when you notice what you're missing, and it's kind of hard to lose. So that's kind of why, to my point, is I do wish that I just spent the extra money and got the S95D. Maybe I could have dealt with the matte finish that I was kind of not too happy about in the beginning and things like that. But I have a feeling that I would be more blown away with the S95D color and brightness wise over even the G4. Clarity wise, maybe not. That's something that I don't think any TV can touch right now when it comes to the LG G4. I don't think there is a comparison. I do feel that the G4 definitely has more sharpness, more clarity, than any other TV that I've ever had in my entire life, and that's including the A95L. And you guys know I've owned two 77-inch A95L, so that's a hard pill to swallow when I say that because it comes with a little bit of regret. But at the same token, I'm also happy on the flip side about it because I'm proud that LG has um, came out with a processor that can really compete and kind of put the competition in the premium space on edge. on what they can do. And not only did they accomplish that, but you guys got to give credit when credit is due. They accomplished it with older technology, WOLED technology. Yes, they have improved it over the years. Yes, there is nobody better at the WOLED game than LG, again, in my personal opinion. But I just feel that in order to be able to accomplish such a beautiful TV with older tech, just really does say a lot about LG and what they can accomplish just by processing alone. It's pretty amazing. Um, but let's get right into it, guys. This game right here, Concrete Genies, I'm just using this as a separate example compared to my last video that I did pretty much the same topic on regarding these two TVs, but a different game. I thought this game would be great. It's one of my favorite visually pleasing games of all time. It's probably there between my top 5 and top 10 games. It is a really cool game. It's originally a PS4 game, but when you play it with the new gen console and pair that with the new model year premium TVs with their new technologies and upgrades over the years, it really is like playing a whole different game. So I'm really into it, but this game has tons of color and tons of animation, and I thought this would be a really good example to show you guys since you guys are tired of me comparing God of War Ragnarok. So, but here we go, guys. I'm going to go ahead and hit X. And we're going to go to, we're going to go, let's go to this one here. I forget which one saved, which one didn't, or which position I am in the save, I should say. And we're going to let that load. And I want to just tell you guys while we're waiting too, as you can clearly see which one is brighter right off the bat. When I look at the TV, like that entire time, I really should have been talking about it while we were looking at it before. When you guys were looking at the title that said Concrete Genie in blue, I just want to let you guys know, you can go back and see for yourself that although the G4 has the overall brightness and clarity, there are times that the S90D definitely will push the G4 over to the side and say, hello, there's a newcomer in town, because the color that just comes out of the S90D is just untouchable. Um, the blue letters in Concrete Genie were just so much more pure, and the lettering looked more sharp versus the, like, basically the word Concrete Genie, the overall picture on the screen kind of looked washed out a little bit. And that's the unfortunate thing, is that when you have dynamic tone mapping on, there'll be times where it looks a little bit washed out with the G4 and a little bit more flat and not as three-dimensional. So the nice part is because the S90D does not get as bright, you can put your tone mapping on active, get a little bit brighter, and it'll still be able to preserve a little bit more of that three-dimensionality that we all like. Sometimes a little bit better. I will say though, hands down, the G4 most of the time, again, like 90% of the time, definitely has a more three-dimensional look to it. And you really, guys, you really got to tune and play with your TV settings as much as you can to really get it down. I think the G4, since there are so many options, you have to really spend a lot of time in getting your TV to what you really like. A little bit more time than maybe one will want to spend. But believe me, guys, when you're done and you get the results you're looking for, it is totally worth it. That's just the way I see it. So, sorry, I guess we have to load again. And let's just go here. Um, yeah, so that's what I noticed, and you can tell just by the letters right here, guys. The G4 is just obviously brighter. It is more clear. They're both even all black screen, besides the lettering. So I don't see any black lifting at all with these two TVs in this particular scenario. And then this right here is just a nice sample that I wanted to show you guys at first. So like right now, what I'm getting out of the G4 is more clarity, hands down, more clarity. I'm not losing any color details, and I'm getting, in fact, more details, even though the TV is a little bit brighter with the G4. If you look as close as you can, let's say to his hat, even though, let's say maybe the color of the hat may look more red in the S90D, you still are able to see more details in the G4 with it being more brighter. So what I like about LG's processing this time is I just feel like back then there were always issues where the LG not being able to really preserve as much fine detail as possible every time you put the color up. I just felt like it'll start clipping details most of the time, and you know, you would have to sacrifice details over color. Um, so I just think that the LG G4 has done a really good job with their new processor, being able to put your color up. Yes, it is a W OLED, but as you guys can see, versus the S90D, they are very competitive. And let's just look at the fire right here. You will be able to tell that the fire does look brighter on the G4. So if that's something that you're into, then there you go. The G4 in game mode can get brighter than the S90D. Now, I know I'm stating the obvious here, guys. It's just a matter for you guys to actually see it through the camera. I know a lot of people talk about it, and I know a lot of people will tell you these things, but it's different when you're actually seeing it as an example in a video game like this, especially a game like this with tons and tons of color. Um, guys, as far as, again, fine details go, I know I keep bringing that up, but if you look at the ground, all right, you will see that the broken glass just looks more noticeable, more clear, more details in the LG G4. If you look at the little glowing lights over here that are on the ground, I'll walk right over them. These little glowing light bulbs over here. The nice part is with the LG G4 is that they are brighter and they do have more detail in them. The processing is just amazing, guys. It really, really is. It brings the life out of anything that you put towards the LG G4, and it does it natively. That's the crazy part, is it does it naturally, just behind the scenes processing. You don't have to do anything. You don't even have to put any extra details or any extra settings on that help enhance the picture. This right here is really kind of what you get. And yes, I do have my own settings as far as color goes and black levels and things like that in this example for both TVs. But I would say that the LG G4, no matter what, just naturally gives you the better detail. It looks more clear. It looks sharper most of the time. There's very few times where the S90D will overcome any task that the G4 is better at. It's not very likely, but at the same time, there are scenes that do look better in the S90D. So yes, they trade blows, but most of the time, the LG G4 will definitely win in that in any of those types of debates. As far as input lag goes, I think they're both equal. You're not going to really see a difference at all. As you guys know, they are both amazing gaming TVs. They both have, you know, inside and out settings that you can play with. I think that the LG G4 definitely has the edge when it comes to its flexibility and what you can do within the gaming menu. But that's not to say that the S90D doesn't have its advantages over the G4 in your game settings as well. Like what I like about the S90D is that once you put it in, sorry, let me just see if I can pull this up. Right now I am in custom, so that's my own settings there. Um, but if you were to, let's say, go into, I believe, here. Oh, sorry. Don't mean to if you were to do your HDR select under Game Picture Expert, right now you can see that they're off. But if you change any of those, the nice part is you can actually change your game HDR, and it does have HDR 10 plus gaming, which I'm not the biggest fan of right now. But guys, if you really wanted this to really go all out, I mean, you can put it even in basic. It's going to switch out the way it looks on the G4 and let it just go ahead and do its thing. And you can kind of see that it is a little, gives you a little bit more pop, right? Not much, but I mean, it's still a little bit there. Details are a little bit better. Now let's go back. And here's the big thing. Let's just say you wanted to turn that on. And I don't know how much of a fan, to me, I feel like HDR 10 plus for gaming is going to be one of those things that almost like a an extreme mode. Let's go to advanced. And there you go. And it kind of gives it a little bit more of a vivid look, kind of turns it a little bit. I mean, yes, yeah, I do have to play with the settings a little bit, but that's what you get right there. So let me go ahead and change that back to my own personal settings that I like. If you like a more warmer look too, I mean, I do myself as well. But games like this, I'm kind of in the middle. But here, I'm gonna go ahead and change this back. And that's gonna change too. I don't know why it does that. I think it just has to do with the splitter, obviously, and it's heated. But anyways, just give that a minute, guys. And then it's going to go back to my personal custom settings. And there you go. All right. So again, guys, that's kind of where I stand basically overall with this TV. I love it. I don't have the wow factor, especially when I compare it to the G4. So I'm just inclined to believe if you really want that extra oomph, that extra wow factor, you're going to have to spend the extra money and get either the S95D or the G4. I do think, especially in the highlights, you're going to definitely see a difference primarily, and the highlights are going to be much brighter on the G4. What they are compared to the S95D, I know that I can see some comparisons online, side by sides and things like that, and I do see them trading blows a lot more often. But my whole point in this video is, if you guys are really truly looking, let's just say you're not looking to spend top tier money on the TVs, but you have a top tier TV at home. Maybe you have an A95L. Maybe you have another LG G3 or whatever the case is, and you're looking for a TV for your other room, and you're considering the S90D, another G4, S95D, whatever the case is, and you're specifically looking for that same wow factor that you're getting, especially when you're watching movies and things like that, you're probably going to want to go with a more premium TV that will be able to provide that for you. The S90D, although it is a beautiful TV, the colors are there, but it's less money for that reason. It doesn't give you as much pop as you can. And I know you can go ahead, get into the service menu, change things around, but for those of us who don't do that, and I'm not one of those people who do that, I keep my TVs the way they are and I just play with the settings and do my own thing. Um, you're probably not going to get that, especially like I said, if you already own a premium TV, you're not going to get that wow factor that you have that you get on, let's say, an A95L, S95C from the past, a G3. As far as movies go, I know that G3 definitely lacks a little bit in brightness when it comes to gaming specifically, but that's really it there. I mean, the G3 is definitely a beautiful TV as well, especially if you watch movies. So it does depend on a few things, whether you're watching movies, whatever your use case is. But overall, guys, that's my take on it right there. So if you guys have any questions or anything, please let me know. Um, I will do more examples, but as you guys can clearly see, if you're looking for more of a wow factor, you're probably going to need to spend the extra money. Now, if you're going from an older TV and you've never had an OLED experience, or if you never had a QD OLED experience before or anything like that, let's say you have an older LCD TV or an older LED TV, maybe something that's from like 2017, 18, 19, whatever the case is, um, and you want to replace your current TV, then the S90D would be a highly recommended TV. You're going to get a wow factor because you're not going to notice the difference. It's not like you're downgrading. You're only upgrading at that point. So you want to take that into consideration too. You will absolutely love the TV. It'll be like you will literally tell yourself it's the best TV that you ever owned in your life if you get a S90D. So that's where I'm at with these TVs, guys. As you can see, colors look very, very good on both. I know being that the S90D is a QD OLED, yes, colors can look more pure, but if you want that color purity plus the additional brightness, you're going to have to spend the extra money. As far as clarity goes, that's where it becomes a little bit confusing because, yes, the S95D will definitely have the brighter colors. So you'll get the combination of the brightness and the color. But is it enough to say that it's better than the G4 just because of that? That's going to be your own opinion because the G4, what it has to offer is, yeah, maybe it's a 2-3% less colorful than a QD OLED, especially in like the reds and things like that, where it becomes even more noticeable. Where the benefit is of the LG G4 is definitely the clarity, guys. It wows you. There's no way around it. Anybody can argue with me all they want, but I will tell you when I turn both these TVs on at the same time and I have guests over and they ask me and I ask them which one do they think looks better, it's never been the S90D. It's always 100% been the G4. That's just without them even knowing what the TVs are. They're not like me where I'm an enthusiast about this. They probably had the same TV for like the past like 15 years. A lot of my friends, they don't care about stuff like that. So that is a plays a major factor in your buying decision, I would say, because I don't know if the S95D has that clarity. I don't think it does. I could be completely wrong. But it's still, for some reason, guys, this LG G4 is like something I've personally, and I'm not kidding, guys. I'm not like blowing smoke or I'm not sponsored, obviously, too. I'm a very, very small YouTuber here. Um, and I'm not sponsored at all by anyone. I buy these TVs and I own these TVs and I use them every single day. And I'm telling you guys that the LG G4 is literally the best TV that LG has ever made, in my personal opinion, that at least I owned. I know that they make an 8K and things like that, but I'm really talking about the 4K space, and I'm more in that 77-inch and above space. And I'm telling you guys, man, I don't know what else to say besides it's a visually stunning TV, and for people to just discard it just because it's not a QD OLED, I think they're doing themselves a disservice because it brings in a whole other aspect to the game that no other TV can bring, and that is its clarity, its processing, its motion processing. I mean, it's just all around a very high quality picture that you're seeing at all times, and I love it. Yes, no TV is perfect, but I would say that the LG G4 is as close to perfect as it gets. You may not get the color of the QD OLED, but guys, I mean, the percentage difference of them is not that dramatic. I mean, you're literally talking, maybe 2, 3% here and there, especially in HDR, BT 2020. You're probably you're probably going to say, well, I'd rather have the color than the clarity, or you're probably going to say I'd rather have the clarity and just a little bit less color over the S95D or any other QD OLED out there. But I just wanted to point out those are the things you're missing when you don't spend the extra money to get the higher end TV. Those are just simply the things. And, you know, that's pretty much it. So if you guys have any questions, please let me know. I'm more than happy to help. Thank you, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.